everyone, it's Emma, and today I'm doing one of my most requested videos. I've been getting questions about how I journal ever since I started this channel. I get tweets about it, I get Curious Cat asks about it, I get comments on Instagram, and you guys started asking me this before I even really started talking about the fact that I am a habitual journaler. If you didn't know this about me, I'm almost an obsessive journaler. It is a big part of my creative process, and it also is a way that I practice self-care. In the past couple years, I hardly go a day without journaling. However, I am not a bullet journaler. I really cannot do it. It's something about how structured bullet journals are. It blocks my creativity. I need my journal to be a very free-flowing kind of thing because it is such a big part of my creativity. It's kind of how I work out the stuff that is not perfect, is not done yet. It's how I start with most of my writing and poems. It's sort of what I use to get myself going, to get my creative juices flowing. So today I'm going to talk about how I have been journaling recently. I kind of have found a way that I have stuck to for the past couple months, especially the past couple journals, but especially like since March. I've found a way of journaling that I love and that I'm going to tell you guys about. This is not really a how-to journal kind of video. I get that question a lot, but to be honest, I don't think that there is one way to journal. So I'm just going to share with you guys what works for me, and then you can try it out and see if it works for you as well. I'm going to use my journal pages from when I was in New York City in the month of March to kind of give you an idea of what my journal looks like, but I'm also going to skip over some of the more personal pages, so just keep that in mind. So the way that I journal, I really try not to filter myself. I try to not feel like I have to get it right. I try to not be perfectionist about my journal at all costs. However, I also try and capture what I'm really thinking. Sometimes we have these random thoughts that pop into your head, whether they are negative thoughts or just like a possible perspective. I try to actually capture my real perspective and not a thought that I have in one fearful moment. Practically, when I am writing in my journal, I leave big blank spaces so that I can later go back and fill in with random little bits and pieces that I pick up throughout my daily travels and daily commutes or doing fun things with friends. So often I'll write on one page and then leave an entire page next to it blank. And in that page, I will fill it with tickets, notes from the people who love me, receipts from bookstores, dried flowers, subway cards, anything and everything that I pick up and I want to stick in my journal. I usually kind of store these up over like the course of 2 weeks or a month, and then at the end of that month I'll go back and plug them back into my journal and fill up those empty spaces. So the pages that I'm working on right now are mostly just writing, and there is lots of empty spaces throughout, and later I will go back and fill them all in with the random things that I've been collecting over the past couple weeks or so. Another thing that I do is I always write the date that I start my journal and the date that I finish my journal in the front page. I like to have that so that when I go back and look at my journals, I can remember exactly the time points that I'm looking at. My number one rule with journaling is not to try and make it look too pretty. You can always go back in with washi tape and the stuff you collected and arrange it to make it look cute. I will scratch things out, I'll rewrite, which is why I can't do a bullet journal, because it just appeals too much to my perfectionism, and I really want my journal to be a space for creativity. I'm not saying that bullet journals are not good overall, because I know that they really work for some people, which is why I started this video out saying that this is how I journal. It's not how I think everyone can journal. With what I write in my journal, I try to kind of capture my mind as a whole. So most of the time it is my own writing, the things that I think, random thoughts that I have, bits and pieces that end up turning into poems. But sometimes I will also put in lyrics or page numbers or quotes from a book that I like, or quotes from a person that I admire, or quotes from somebody that I know, my family members or my boyfriend, or something that people said to me that meant something to me. I will often jot those in as well. I try to capture my headspace and my experiences and my personality as a whole instead of like specifics of what I'm doing. Sometimes I will randomly write down, like today is March 20th, I went to the Modern Museum of Art, I went to Hinata Ramen, I went to Dr. Smoot and got a matcha latte, was listening to the Obsidio audiobook, and then I went to the Astonishing Color of After event at McNally Jackson. Sometimes I'll like bullet point list that out if I have a day where I kind of just want to randomly capture what I did that day, but I do not narrate my life at all. I've tried that and I just can't do it every day. I do sometimes keep a separate journal. I have lots of journals, guys. I do sometimes keep a separate journal that is for that like mind barf stream of consciousness writing style. Sometimes I will just keep a journal where I can like just write whatever comes to my mind, write about what I did that day, write about the thoughts I was having, but that is not what I put in this journal. This journal is more to capture the real essence of me and how I'm feeling at a certain point in my life. So some pages turn out better than others. I really loved all the pages that I did while I was in New York for that 1 month, but then I had like a couple weeks where I was home and kind of just working and not doing much that was creatively inspiring, and so those pages I don't love as much as the New York pages, but I still love those pages because I captured a moment of my life where it was more calm and less busy. Lastly, I will try to give a little bit of advice, although I did say that I don't think you can really give advice for journaling. It is one of those things that you have to just try and figure out your own way and figure out what works for you. But I will say that journaling is a habit just like reading. If you get into the practice of journaling every day, it will become like second nature and you won't even worry about journaling every day. I do really encourage people to journal. I think it helps a lot with your like mental state and mental health and feeling good about your life and getting a big picture view of your life. In my opinion, it is really helpful if you're a writer. But again, that's just my opinion. It's just what I've found from my personal experiences. So if you try it my way and it doesn't work and you can't seem to get it to hold your attention or keep it up on a regular basis, just try it another way and figure out what works for you, and I'm sure that you will get there. People always joke about not being able to finish a journal and having all these journals that they started and didn't finish, and I think that's just because they didn't figure out what way is best for them. It took me a while to figure it out, but now that I finish journals all the time. Sometimes I will finish a whole journal in a month. This one I've been doing since March because I did decide to split up my Bible time journal from this journal. I used to have them be the same one and that filled up my journals a lot faster. I will leave the brand of journal that I use in the description box because this is my favorite brand of journals. I usually pick them up when I'm in New York. They sell them at Kinokuniya and at lots of bookstores, to be honest. But it is a Japanese brand, so I will put a link to like Amazon or something if I can find it. That is pretty much everything I have to say about how I journal. If you have any specific questions about journaling and how I journal, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I will answer as many as I can. I hope that you have a lovely day or night or afternoon wherever you are, whatever you are doing, and I will see you in my next video.